What's one of the biggest challenges of managing a fleet of trucks, tractor trailers, and material handling equipment? Hassling with maintenance, repair, and vehicle breakdown. Transervice's dedicated contract maintenance service, DCM, takes that hassle away. We maintain your fleet, no matter what the configuration, to the highest standards, while giving you the greatest cost control. We offer preventative maintenance executed to maximum utilization, equipment life, and necessary repairs, all tracked by a state-of-the-art paperless computerized system. Assistance with equipment engineering, configuration, including new engine technology, and onboard computers for your fleet, as well as dedicated fleet contract maintenance. Dedicated on-site service facilities staffed with management and certified maintenance technicians, inventories of parts, tires, and fluids, and all necessary shop equipment, diagnostic tools, and technology. Supporting services such as equipment inspections and assistance with meeting regulatory requirements, DOT, OSHA, EPA. Contact us today to learn about our turnkey contract maintenance solutions. It's all about the experience, yours and ours.
Hello everyone and welcome to VIDANE TV's coverage of the SIM500 Esports Racing League. Tonight, the Monday Transervice Cup Series presented by the Transervice Transportation and Logistics Solutions is southbound to Homestead, Florida and the Homestead Miami Speedway. Teal-covered walls and bright sunshine, a balmy Florida weather make for great racing conditions. Last week, our season opener featured a stellar finish with Brian Macklin taking the win and securing his spot in the season championship. As we roll into race number two of 36, and put Daytona in the rear view, we are looking at a completely different style of racetrack tonight, and we're so glad to have you in to join us. My name is Kevin England, and Tim Terry is here again. On the side to join me in calling tonight's action, I cannot forget that outside turn 2 is Paul Showtime Strickland, working in the production trailer, leading the TV coverage. Tim, race number 2, and we have moved on from the super speedway format. Wide, fast, progressive banking. We're going to see a competitive race tonight.
You know what? I think you touched on everything that happened last week, Kevin, and leaving Daytona and going to Homestead, Miami. Progressive banking usually puts on a great show, whether it's with the Cup cars, the Xfinity, whatever car you put on when it comes to the iRacing simulation. But I think the big thing last week was there was some chatter after the race throughout some of the teams about how the race finished and what happened throughout. And you know what? I don't want to say drama because it's not the right word, but I think there's going to be some notes in the memory bank. This is a long season. We got 36-point races plus a couple of exhibitions in between. So I think there's some things that are going to be left, but looks like our front row is gridded, and look who's on the front row. Welcome back, Adam Gilliland.
How about that? Adam Gilliland, last year's winner, March 23rd, we ran this race, and Gilliland was the winner. And last week's winner, though, that's a story. Macklin, I don't believe he made the call here tonight, and there were 11 drivers vying for that final spot. Nick Chambrone, AJ Browning, John Fowler, and Donna Leah missed the call here tonight. They were sent home, but we have 43 cars ready to make the call.
Really good names. As you see the starting grid rolling down at the bottom of your screen, you can follow along at the top of the screen with your ticker as to who is starting where this evening. But Adam Gilliland, Trey Eidson on the front row. Those two drivers are going to be tough to beat. Then you got Byron Daly, he's in that rookie challenge this year, Kevin, but no stranger to victory lane and on iRacing, and no stranger to the big leagues. Josh Williams, Robert Gillenwater, great run. And then Tyler Dalton's back there in 6th, too. Talk about going from one track to the other. Your pole sitter from last week at Daytona going to roll off 6th here.
Yeah, so drivers start to pull away. Last week, Macklin, Bailey, Fuller, Williams, Jabot, they were your top 5. And some of the drivers had a rough start, thinking of the 2 of Mike Kelly, and they're looking to get back into the fold here. It's not too early to consider points. Some of these drivers looking to solve the wound from Daytona and restrictor plate racing style or speedway style racetracks is, this is going to be competitive. One of the things we know, Tim, early on, these cars are a handful, especially coming up off the corner. They're really loose. These drivers have to be patient, let the tires come up to temperature, and then let the car settle into this progressive banking.
And you look at that beautiful shot down the back straightaway. There's Kevin Brown, came close to a super speedway championship here on Saturday night, but Now it's all a matter of leaving those super speedways behind and getting ready to do some 1.5 mile racing. And Kevin, I can't wait to see who comes out on top of this, but Adam Gilliland, you know he's going to be quick.
No doubt about it. The pace car is going to turn left, turn the field over to Adam Gilliland. It's up to him and the starters. The green light comes out. Here comes Gilliland down on the throttle, and he's going to race off to turn number 1 outside. Trey Eidson going to ride side by side as they go into turn 1 for the first time. And, yep, we're going to have 140 laps of distance here tonight as they head to the back straightaway. Gilliland jumps out to the early lead.
And there goes Byron Daly already to the inside, taking a look and trying to go for at least second, maybe the lead. Josh Williams right there as well in the 95, trying to make something happen. But we're going to see a lot of this two-lane racing or side-by-side racing for at least the first few laps of the run as you ride on board with Byron Daly in the Valvoline number 33 to the inside of the 95. You can't see that on the bumper cam because that 95 is trying to get ahead of the 33, and there's a nice little shot there of that battle. But we're going to see it. We're going to see these guys, I think, get spread out a little bit, try to pick their spot. We saw some green flag racing, some green flag pit stops last week, and I fully expect to see that once again as we see the 58 car taking a look to the inside, and that is Pedro Mojica making his move to the front.
Yeah, Pedro wasting no time trying to run side by side with Gilliland on that low lane. With this progressive banking, you can run low, run high, but the drivers say one lane up, one seam is where you want to be in the corners, high line, not the fast way around. The tire wear a big factor here. These drivers want to settle in and make sure they don't abuse their tires, especially on entry. You're going to wear that right front. They got to be really careful here in the early going in case they get long runs.
Yeah, I think we're going to see that with these drivers, especially because they know how to do a long run in this Cup car and with this series fixed setup. Can't do a whole lot to it. So it comes down to driver adaptability. And up in front, the first 5 or 6 have got single file. You can see that Adam Gilliland, Trey Eidson, Josh Williams kind of riding right now, back to Byron Daly, and the 19 of Tyler Dalton as Trey kind of takes a look over his teammate, but not able to make a move on that. There's Daniel Faulkingham back there as well. We saw Daniel a couple of shots ago, but the 39 car, Kevin, returning to the series after having some time off, and great to see him back here. He runs in position number 8 and behind, or in front of the 4 of Gillenwater and Justin Fuller in the 51, who had a great run last week.
Yeah, Fuller tucked right on the back bumper of Gillenwater, trying to follow him, or on the back bumper of Faulkingham, trying to follow him under Gillenwater. And right behind him, another driver who had a real strong last week is Jose Gonzalez, the Goya number 26, sitting back there in that 10th position, just riding. Pedro Mojica, I believe he got in on time. He was the fastest car of the cars that had to qualify on time, and he's making good use of that here, running in the top 10 early.
It's still plenty of laps to get it done as we see a lot of those drivers trying to find a place to run right now. Tyler Dalton in the 19 going a little bit high, and you can do that at this racetrack. Pedro Mojica trying to get his spot. Kevin Brown poking his nose at a line back there about mid-pack, but you ride on board here with the position in behind Byron Daly. That's 19 of Tyler Dalton as he comes at a corner number 4. And there's what I think we're going to see a little bit tonight, at least trying to set it up, Kevin. These guys getting single file, kind of logging some laps. But as I say that, there's the second place being changed. Josh Williams going to go to P2.
Yeah, right now it's all Adam Gilliland. He's out front comfortably, just pacing this field. He's going to use a little more fuel than some of these guys who are tucked in on the draft. It's going to be 60 laps thereabout before they got to make a pit stop and fill the fuel. But the tires are going to wear out ahead of that. That means at least 2 pit stops. These drivers can drop in off of turn 4 at this 1.5 mile racetrack, but coming off the pit, they got to use the exit road and blend in on the back straightaway. It's a little bit tricky, that blend in area, Tim. You want to drive as fast as you can, but not end up in the grass and slide back out on the racetrack.
Cautiously aggressive, I think, is the easiest way to put it when you come on and off a pit road. But there's a 95 going to the lead. Josh Williams going to lead his first lap of the season here as they come up at a corner number 4. And Justin Fuller kind of mentioned it in his post-race interview last week where Josh Williams and Adam Gilliland and Trey Eidson and a couple of others throughout this field, EJ O'Rourke, working together. And I think we're starting to see that a little bit right now. But the 95 car kind of had a little bit more. I don't know if Adam Gilliland is saving something here. Trey Eidson on the same boat. They've all got personal comfort on the side of those race cars. I don't know if the 95 is saving a little bit. Maybe he wants to get out front and flex his muscle a bit, but looking pretty good right now and pulling away from the rest of the field.
Yeah, these drivers are in part of the 2021 Transervice Team Challenge. The Patriot Fire Team Challenge is new for the 2021 Transervice Cup Series. The teams are made up of a couple drivers, and they're racing together. Randy Yoakum owns a couple teams with Tommy Ryan and David Comstock, Randy Yoakum and Tom Leary, and so on. We're watching right now Joshua Williams out there. Some of these drivers are on their own, and some of them are teamed up with a pair trying to win this team challenge this season.
They're all about going for the win. I think at the end of the day, the points kind of fall where they are. We've got one slow car here on the apron, already going a lap down early in this event as we continue to stay under the green flag. Some great racing here throughout, though. There's Pedro Mojica making that move, and now it becomes side-by-side with Tyler Dalton and Daniel Faulkingham. Get Justin Fuller right in behind as they run down the back straightaway into corner number 3. And you see those couple of little quick changes. Justin Fuller now trying to get one spot on Tyler Dalton as he moves to the bottom of the SIM500 VIDANE TV number 19 as he'll pick up one more position. But it's those quick passes, those quick pickups of spots, and being able to get back and in the groove. And I think, Kevin, you kind of mentioned the fuel mileage too might come into effect here. So it might be right for a couple laps to save a little bit.
Yeah, the Transervice number 44 Camaro of Glenn Campbell on pit road. He was the car running slow down there on the apron. He's pulling into his pit box, not sure what's going on. He's going to change right side tires. And yeah, troubles early for Glenn Campbell in this event. But the rest of the field continues to streak through. And look back at some of these drivers trying to make their way forward. They find the track clogged 2 and 3 wide. I'm looking at Kyle Tarasca right in front of him. He's got the 24 of Stefan Marinik and the 22 of Nelson Rivera. They're running back there about the 16th position. And Tim, sometimes the hardest racing you do is actually out back of the pack and off the camera.
And just ahead of them, we talked about Glenn Campbell having a great run at Daytona and it going a little bit sour. How about that 99 car you see on your screen of Tommy Ryan as he has Josh Parker giving him the business coming off at turn 4. Parker will put that Interstate Batteries number 23 to the inside. But there's another driver that had a really, really strong run last week at Daytona and trying to at least back up the speed, maybe not necessarily the finish that he wanted, but back up the speed that he had 1 week ago at the Daytona International Speedway for the 500K. And he takes that spot over Josh Parker for the time being and tries to get one more on Gonzalez, but right in behind the 93 of Kevin Brown, Tyler Dalton going at it, and Tyler has fallen 6 positions already. It seems like he was on the outside line for a while, was able to pick up a couple of spots and continues to fall back, and now he's back there with Tyler Dalton. So plenty of racing in this middle of this pack, and maybe drivers that didn't get a great qualifying effort, Kevin, trying to find their way up and pick up a couple of spots. Best time to do it is early in this run when everybody's all bunched up together.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the driver that's not having a problem, you talked about speed, Joshua Williams is flying. He's been able to break out to about a 10-car length lead. That's unheard of when you're the leader driving away from Adam Gilliland, but his car is on cruise control and looking really good. Gilliland has a 3 to 4 car length lead over Trey Eidson, and then another big break back to Byron Daly. So some of these guys up front, they've got this racetrack figured out here this afternoon.
Yeah, they definitely have this thing figured out, and Josh Williams is kind of throwing the flag in the dirt right now and saying this is my territory, and being able to pull away by about a second now over this battle for position number 2. And it's not really a battle. Adam Gilliland has it won over Trey Eidson by about half a second or so. Byron Daly kind of running by himself. Pedro Mojica, one of his teammates, kind of catching him up. He's got Daniel Faulkingham chasing him. So there's some space in between here. I think the closest battle maybe within the top 10, at least with drivers, Kevin, that aren't necessarily teammates. Justin Fuller is coming. He's currently in position number 7, but he's got Faulkingham, Mojica, and Daly ahead of him. Then his 3 teammates are ahead of them. So I think if there's anybody going to really try to make some ground in the top 10 of these next few laps, keep your eye on that personal comfort number 51.
Yeah, for sure. That 51 is always one of those drivers that somehow always seems to rise to the occasion. I look at these drivers and see the different lines. Some of the drivers are down in that preferred line, one groove off of that white line, and other ones like Trey Eidson are running up high. variable banking, 18, 19, 20 degrees through. You can get more banking up in the top. And this track is an enigma wrapped in a riddle sometimes. Sometimes they run the full 60 laps, Tim, no cautions, and other times cautions breed cautions. And you got to concern yourself with tire wear. Did some of these front drivers get out there too fast and are wearing the tires, or are they that good? We'll find out as the laps tick off as we're working lap number 19.
The great thing about the length of this race is the strategy that they're going to play. So if you can go 60 laps on fuel, the tires are going to wear a little bit less anyway. You definitely have to make 2 stops. So do you play it backwards? Do you run it till the fuel runs dry and hope the tires survive? Do you go till lap 40 and come down pit road? Does somebody make 3 stops tonight? There's all kinds of different strategies that can be done here at Homestead. And these races are pretty much close to being the same length or a factor of what the NASCAR Cup Series races are, but hats off to SIM500 to get this length and give us a little bit of strategy, because we know we're going to see some green flag racing here.
51 of Justin Fuller brushed the back stretch wall, trying to get up high to get that arc down into the corner. We saw the sparks come off. Don't seem to think that there's any damage to that number 51 as he goes by here. It looks pretty clean, but yeah, that's using all the racetrack for sure.
Okay, you see the 51, no harm, no foul for the most part on the side of that race car. It's still picking up some time on the guys in front of him, so Fuller's not shy to get up there against that wall and try to make as much speed as he can as he tries to close in on Daniel Faulkingham. We'll see if Paul Strickland Jr. can get a camera back on 18th place right now. That is the driver that was winning the VIDANE SIM500 Super Speedway Series on Saturday night. That is Richard Beasley in the TCM 10th anniversary, number 10, as he runs down the front straightaway. And Paul, I'll bring you in on this. I asked Beasley earlier, he was talking about the championship, and he told me, he said he has to talk to Paul about that Stafford ride, because he said, you know how he runs, Paul, in the iRacing service, where sometimes you get on a short track, sometimes you have to muscle your race car around. His first question to me is, how much is the damage deposit on that street stock?
You know, I did get a call from Richard Beasley earlier today, and he asked that same question. He's like, I was reading into it a little bit, and I looked into the damage clause there. Am I responsible for that, or is that something? It's like, you know what, bud? If you fly out here, I'll pick you up from the airport. We'll show up to the racetrack with cash. So if you wreck it, we'll take care of the deposit. So please don't wreck it, because we're going to be doing that for 2 cars that night on June 11th at Stafford. And if you've got any other excuses to not get your butt up here to Stafford Speedway and sit in this street stock, let me know, and we'll fix those too.
I guess if it falls short, does that mean EJ O'Rourke gets the ride?
That is a discussion that will be had at a later date. Yes.
Well, we'll keep an eye on that. We'll keep an eye on Richard Beasley throughout the evening. Qualified 21st, up to 18th, the VIDANE SIM500 Super Speedway champion, driving the TCM number 10, and almost trouble ahead of him. It's the 28 car of Tim Johnson that got into Kyle Tarasca. No yellow flag, but Kevin, that car was pitched sideways in the 18.
Yeah, he had his hands full there. Thank God he was able to collect that up as I'm watching this battle over here for the 5th position. Daniel Faulkingham running 6. He wants it. Trying to collect it there from the number 33 of Byron Daly. Daly up to the high side. Faulkingham down on the bottom, being a pest, just hunting that low line. And every lap he pulls up about 3 inches or so. He worked right from the back bumper to the middle of the number that time around. And yeah, Faulkingham looking to see if he can move forward here in that number 39.
Continues to work the inside line of Byron Daly. These two are kind of de facto teammates. I know they've worked together in the past, so a lot of respect between those two as they continue to go side by side. Daly gets that run down into corner number 1 and is able to hold it in the middle of 1 and 2, and he'll be able to try to take that spot away with the momentum off the high side and try to take that position back from Faulkingham. And Faulkingham still has that bumper on that left rear quarter, just enough to keep that door open, Kevin, to go back at it.
Yeah, right now everybody kind of logging laps, trying to see what they can do. This is one of those racetracks where sometimes you just race the racetrack. The best way to go is to get the best line, not drive the car too hard in the corner, not let it push up off the corner, and just try and get as best you can. But we're still seeing that side-by-side battle with Faulkingham. Now he's drawn even maybe a little bit ahead, but every time they come off the corner, the momentum to the outside line allows the 33 of Daly to get it. Faulkingham pulls ahead going into the corner. Daly races back to him, but now Faulkingham able to make the clear. He's going to pull up in front, block the line of the 33, and give the 39 the position.
And now can he get away from the 33 of Byron Daly and try to get up to that 5 of Trey Eidson, who is currently about a second or so ahead of Daniel Faulkingham. Pedro Mojica has taken position number 3 away, so move the 58 car up one more spot, and he'll try to track down those 2 ahead, but he's got about a second and change between himself and Adam Gilliland, and then another second and change between himself and Josh Williams, who currently leads this race, 28 laps completed here at the Homestead Miami Speedway, and it continues to be that 95 car, the personal comfort 95 you see on your screen. Josh Williams continues to lead around this racetrack as everybody, at least in the top 10 for the most part, besides those couple of battles, has kind of got straightened away from each other. Josh Parker's moved up 6 positions, check that, up to position number 10. He's chasing down Gillenwater in the 4. So there are some movers here throughout this pack so far, about halfway through a fuel run at least, Kevin, maybe a little bit closer on tires.
As we look at this lead Josh Williams had, he had about a full second or more over Adam Gilliland. Gilliland closed it in a tenth of a second that time. Maybe he's trying to reel him in a little bit. Pedro Mojica back there in third, 2.1 seconds back from the leader. And yep, these drivers going to have to start getting their heads in the game for a green flag pit stop, as it has a green flag look at it. The first of 5 events this season, top 35 in points from the 2020 season, will be locked into the races. The other drivers going to have to make their way in on time. After race number 5, top 35 will be updated weekly, and then all the drivers outside of the top 35 are subject to race their way in. And man, it's so cool to see a 43 car field running here at Homestead.
Yeah, it's great to see, and great to see a guy like Pedro Mojica up here running in the top 5, currently running in position number 3, and he's trying to track down those top 2, but you hit the nail on the head. Adam Gilliland is closing in on Josh Williams for that lead position. He's not quite there yet, but he's getting a little bit closer. So keep your half eye on that as we continue to roll through. There's Adam Gilliland, and I know he missed the Daytona race, but he had a good reason to. He was at Real Daytona and, you know, enjoying that week that he usually does, and getting to watch his favorite drivers go at it. And now he's back on the sim and doing what he does best, and that's wheeling one of these NASCAR-style Cup cars and up to position number 2. And he's doing the Road to Pro this year as well, Kevin, so he's going to be busy in his iRacing season, trying to get back to the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. But right now, doing what he is doing, trying to reel in the number 95 at Josh Williams, and he's doing it, just clicking off a little bit here, a couple of hundreds here, a tenth here, and he'll eventually get there.
Yeah, certainly you can count on Adam Gilliland to be competitive wherever he goes. As I look back at rookie stripes on the number 37, Elliott Henderson running in 17th position. Some of these drivers coming into SIM500, I'm not saying Elliott hasn't run with us, but newer names to this series this year, and they're finding out how competitive these drivers are. You know, sometimes it's just you're good at one track and not the other, and others you just try to be respectful, Tim, and not crash or bang or cause problems, and you run a little conservatively until you get your, you know, you got to remember, this is the second race of the season for some of these drivers. They're still trying to figure out who they're racing with and how they race. And yeah, it's a study lesson for some of these drivers, and they're probably happy to get out of Daytona and come into Homestead where they can run the racetrack and get a feel for the car.
You're going to see some drivers that do a little bit better at some racetracks than the other. We talked about Justin Fuller, not a huge fan of one racetrack than the other, and you know, trying to learn those certain racetracks. You see the 37 on your screen of Henderson as they continue to work around this racetrack. 35 laps to be completed this time by across the stripe, and that is a battle for 17th on your screen. They were right up here with this battle in front of them. There's Kyle Tarasca that had that moment about 10 laps ago, and he's been able, along with Joey Bailey, who had a great run at Daytona, top 3 effort for the one car, and Tim Johnston right in behind, who got into the 18, got him a little bit sideways a few laps ago, and now he's in behind the 1, and he's got 1 car between himself and Kyle Trask. And I don't think there was any harm or any malice there, but just got into him. That's the way this racetrack is. You roll into the corner a little bit quicker, or maybe get back to the throttle a little bit quicker than the driver ahead of you. And again, these drivers have made some great saves, and we saw one about 15 laps ago. But they're continuing to go at it here just outside the top 10.
You got a good little tussle back there about the 20th position. Jimmy Coleman almost got in the back of Bobby Wetzel before, had to check up. That allowed Joey Jatina to drive underneath him. And then Stefan Marinik just got a challenge from Wetzel. Wetzel drove underneath it, but here comes Marinik back to the outside. That's a little bit of a wiggle for the 9 of Wetzel running there. And these drivers, you could throw a blanket over top of them. Coleman just trying to find a way through there, as now the number 13 of David Comstock joins in that battle. These drivers, they are up on the wheel, elbows up back here at about the 20th position.
Chad Coleman in the 38 almost got into Katina in the 14 as they came off of corner number 4. Now he'll go to that outside line 2x2 as they work through corners number 1 and 2 and head down the back straightaway 1, going a little bit wide out of the corner. That is the 24 of Marinik, and he'll go wide. Bobby Wetzel to the middle. David Comstock thought about going 3 wide, sucks in behind, now goes to the upside. This is a great little battle back here. It's outside or around the 20th place spot.
Yeah, they were 3 wide there coming off of turn 2. Joey Jatina, he decided, I guess, to get out of the middle of the meat of that sandwich and drop back, allowed a couple drivers to sneak through. Here comes Chad Coleman hunting the bottom, looking to see if he can get to the 13 of David Comstock. Good little tussle, and out front, you're not missing anything. It continues to be Josh Williams, but, well, Adam Gilliland, he has closed that gap down to 2/10, and I suspect in a moment we're going to see a battle for the lead.
Adam Gilliland in the 81 trying to get back to the front of this field, and it's almost there. Josh Williams has Adam Gilliland rear view mirror full of the 81 as they go down the back straightaway. He's trying to set up that battle for the lead down the back straightaway.
Right in the slipstream as they go into turn number 3, tucked in right exactly in the tire chucks is Adam Gilliland. Now he pulls left, gets a little air on that left front tire, drives hard up out of turn number 4. He's going to pull out, draw alongside. I don't know if he can complete this pass, but he's certainly going to use the progressive banking to his advantage. And yep, he's going to drive it in hard and clear that position. Adam Gilliland back to the point.
And that's a great thing about being teammates. I'm sure there's a little communication between those two. And the other side of the coin is Pedro Mojica is slowly inching his way into this battle. He's a little ways behind, but now that battle has subsided, we'll see what the gap ends up being between now Adam Gilliland, the leader, and Pedro Mojica. Was able to get a couple of hundreds the last couple laps. This lap might not be indicative. It's about the same. It's still 1.6 seconds. It might not be indicative, Kevin, because they were side by side, but now Adam Gilliland able to pull away by a couple of lengths. We'll see what Pedro has here and see what he does, because we're about lap 42 right now. The tires probably aren't feeling very good on these race cars. They can go about 18 laps on fuel. Fuel load's probably getting a little light, so this is where those decisions start to be made. Is this looking green flag? Do we run the race backwards? How do we do this race? How do we attack it? And Josh Williams says, I'm coming down pit road. 95 car, second place, pit road.
Some of these drivers going to pit, get fresh tires, and split the difference all the way across. And other drivers, they don't want to get caught out if the yellow comes out. I do believe you can pit and get out without losing a lap or be close to being the first one, a lucky dog. And, you know, I'm looking at Tyler Dalton. Dalton and Dutton was the thing we called last year so many different times. Dalton started in that 6th position, currently running 32nd. Cars just streaming by. I wonder if he's doing something where he's doing some sort of save, or that car does not look up to speed.
It's Tyler Dalton fell back early, 3 wide ahead of Gael Brooks, and we got the 63 of Boris Cook to the outside, the 12 of Simley, and the 42, also part of this battle. And they were 3 wide. They got it back to 2 wide, and now it looks like Gael's going to go to the outside of Scott Simley to try to pick up one more spot, but that was almost big, trying to position yourself, get you a couple more spots before you come down to the road.
Yeah, another driver who's not made any noise, who typically is normally charges through the field and runs up front, is the 2 of Mike Kelly, currently running back there in that 24th position. The Verizon Ford just kind of pacing himself here. I have to wonder if some of these drivers are looking at some other alternate strategy, but as you pointed out, the 95 went to pit road. Nobody else seems to be taking that right now. Everybody kind of staying out on the racetrack, and that's kind of cool. I like to see different alternative pit strategies.
And I think we were going to see that, especially if this thing goes green. You pit at 40, you're going to pit at 80, and you're going to probably pit at 120. So that may be a 3-stock strategy compared to a 2, which by the looks of it, most of your front runners are on. But Josh Williams knows a thing or two about pit strategy, knows a thing or two about these Cup cars. So I don't think, I think he might know a little more or just as much as some of these drivers do about how this strategy is all going to play out. You see Adam Gilliland on your screen. He climbs the bank at a corner number 4, comes down across the line. 46 laps are completed.
So a handful of drivers did try that strategy. We had Williams, Cohan, Marnick, O'Leary, and Jeff Ryan, along with Mike Mentesi, who's 2 laps down, all duck in and change tires. The Glenn Campbell machine, 36 laps down. He's going to finish 43rd here tonight. Yep, a couple of them are doing that split strategy. They have to hope right now that no caution comes out, that the rest of these drivers cycle through and get their pit stops in. As we're working lap 47, they got a little ways to go before they're going to know the answer to that.
And these drivers come in with 4 sets of tires. 1 set of tires that is on the race car and 3 that are on pit road. And Tommy Ryan's going to come down and take one of those sets of tires that he has on pit road. And he nearly was quick coming onto pit road. He had that thing lit up to try to get it down to the 50-mile-an-hour pit road speed. But Tommy Ryan among one of those that are down on pit road. We'll see what Adam Gilliland does, whether he continues to stay out on the racetrack this time by. He will do so. But here's the fresh tires. See if we can get a camera on the 81 car, because Josh Williams is about to blow by the 81.
That's really good news for Josh Williams, as it doesn't matter if a caution comes out. He's going to be on the tail end of the lead lap and have, obviously you could see how much of an advantage fresh tires are, as he's already pulled 12, 15 car lengths in one straightaway.
We'll see what Adam Gilliland does this lap, whether he decides to come down at the end of 49. I think he's going to come down to the pit road. Look at that. Slides it down, and a little bit more of a passive entry than we saw to a guy like Tommy Ryan a couple laps ago. But Gilliland is down on the pit road. It'll hand the lead over to Pedro Mojica.
Pit limit speed was 50 miles an hour, and I see just a touch of 50, 51 when he crossed the line, but I think he's going to be safe. Gilliland now in his box, and we'll see if he does 4 tires and fuel. Crew chief's going to tell him, yeah, all 4 tires every time you go here, given the tire wear. Right side tires going on, they're packing it full of fuel to come around, and left side tires going on, the personal comfort Camaro. And Adam Gilliland, 4 tires in away. He looks pretty good, clean pit stop. He's going to go on that exit road that we talked about. And we'll see how well he does running off of that. I'm just kind of peeking here through the binoculars as he runs through. Pretty quick, being conservative, and yeah, he gets a good run up off to the back straightaway.
You saw on the pit cam as the 81 comes off the pit road, Daniel Faulkingham had to woe it down to get down into pit road. He is down there now. That is your leader, Trey Eidson, on your screen in the 5 car as he'll come by. This time, Byron Daly nearly had a moment in behind with Jose Gonzalez, and it's still nearly a moment. I'm not sure what transpired there between those two, but that was a battle for position as Byron comes down into pit road. I don't think he was coming down into pit road that early, so I don't know if there was something that happened on the back straightaway or what have you, but there was a lot of contact there.
You know, one thing we discount is the fact that these drivers are the crew chief. They have to go in and set the tires and all of that stuff. Some drivers do not like to have the tires turned on automatically when they go to pit, because sometimes they don't want to change tires. So they'll come down the back straightaway and click in the box to change the tires, and they get distracted. They could have been a service of that, but right now Trey Eidson inherits the lead. He's out front of Jose Gonzalez, Robert Gillenwater, and Justin Fuller. Kevin Brown now in that 5th place position, as a number of drivers starting to make the pit stops. Mojica, Bailey, Faulkingham, Henderson, Parker, Tommy Ryan, Scott Simley, and others have been to pit road. It's time at lap 52 for a lot of these drivers to go in.
Yeah, Trey Eidson in the 5 is staying out on the racetrack. He may be coming down on the pit road this time by. No, he'll stay out on the racetrack. I think he's going to run it dry, and I think you kind of have to if you're on this strategy now to go as far as you can before the thing runs out of fuel. As Josh Parker works by Jose Gonzalez on those brand new tires. Robert Gilliland, Justin Fuller, Kevin Brown continue to be your top 5. It looks like, Kevin, we've got approximately 10 or 12 cars still on this strategy. Jimmy Coleman is on pit road as you ride on board with Josh Parker, trying to chase down the leader in front to get back on the tail end of the lead lap. And trying to look down here, Josh Williams currently being scored in 13th place. So it looks like we got 12 drivers still on the racetrack that are on this strategy.
He drove by Eidson like Eidson was on a pace lap, as that's how much difference tires make here. Eidson, one of the strategies you could be playing is run that tank dry and then get out later with fresher tires and run them down. You never know. Like you said, there's so many different games. Eidson, last year's Transervice Cup champion, so he knows how to get the job done, and he's got a good strategy coming into this event.
So Eidson will come up at a corner number 4. He'll complete 55 laps on the racetrack, clean and green so far. In behind him is Byron Daly. He is at the tail end of a lead lap, and you kind of caught the glimpse of Jose Gonzalez on your screen there as well, the 26 car. You can't miss that race car, Kevin. It's bright yellow. You're not missing that race car for a country mile. But currently in second, doing a great job here and working his way up. Started in the top 10, currently with a top 10 run.
Yeah, sometimes it's an advantage to run this long, and other times it's a pain because these cars with fresh tires, you pretty much have to get out of their way, right? You see Trey Eidson, he wants to drive the preferred line, but when he's got somebody coming with a full, head of steam, sometimes you got to get out of the way. As we look at these drivers, Eidson, Gonzalez, Gilliland, Fuller, Kevin Brown, Nelson Rivera, Chad Coleman, Kyle Tereska, and others, they still haven't pitted yet. They're going to run this full fuel cycle. It looks like about 20 cars so far have not headed to pit road.
You would think they'd be down on pit road in the next 5 laps or so, because likely they will run the tank dry if they go a little bit further than that. 60 and 60 as Justin Fuller comes down on the pit road in the 51. That was close. He gets it down. He might have been a little hot coming on the pit road, but we'll see how that all transpires. 60 and 60 is 120. You're still not going anymore. You're not going one pit stop tonight. You can't save 20 laps of fuel to make it that way. As Chad Coleman on your screen right now, as we start to see these drivers that are committed to that long run strategy still on this racetrack, and that is actually a battle for position between Kevin Brown and Chad Coleman.
One of the things we not talked about is the dynamic of this race after halfway. Sometimes you get into those cycles where you get a bunch of cautions, and these drivers who have saved their tires might have an extra set. And what happens out front here really doesn't matter if you get a caution and it resets the field, as long as you're out on that lead lap. But Trey Eidson continues to lead. They do 170 miles an hour plus at the end of the straightaway. He's just not there. His car is so slow, and he's giving up time to these drivers on these slow tires. And as it works, Tim, he's going to go in and get fresh tires, but he needs the full track time after that to gain what he's losing right now.
Interesting battle in behind him as O'Leary and Marinak have to try to get by the 5, and that was almost, it might still be a moment as the 24 had his foot in the door and wanted to get by the 08 of O'Leary, but the 5 of Trey Eidson, A, you're committed to running this thing at a gas. B, if a caution comes out right now, you look pretty good because everybody comes down on the pit road, but Trey was up in front. He was in the top 3 when the pit cycle started to happen or transpire, or in the top 5 per se, starting in position number 2. But now we're starting to see Josh Williams make his way through this traffic, and I don't know if we can get a camera on the 95, but this is a caution about to happen, and this may be the pass de facto for the lead as Adam Gilliland goes to the outside of Josh Williams side by side. This is a lead lap battle for position between the 81 and the 95, and if this cycles through, this would be the battle for the lead.
There's a lot of cars right in that space right there where Gilliland is too, as they come off of turn number 4. He's got the 42 of Milt Matisse down underneath him. Yeah, what a different complex it is with drivers with fresh tires, worn tires, mediocre tires. You see a lot of passing going on here. The cool thing about it is this racetrack is so wide, 55 feet wide, and with the progressive banking, you got plenty of room to make your passes as long as you forecast what's going on.
And there's, plenty of room to make some things happen, especially if you can work with those drivers alongside of you and get on the voice chat or get on the text chat or in Discord and tell them, hey, I'm coming on to pit road. And we've seen a couple of close calls. We saw it with Byron Daly and Jose Gonzalez, but no harm, no foul. Trey Eidson's got the hand out the window. He's coming down pit road, and I believe Jose Gonzalez may be doing the same. So this may be the outer reaches of being able to make it on fuel at the completion of 63. Here comes Trey. Jose Gonzalez stays out on the racetrack. The 5 comes down onto pit road, and he will hand the lead over to the 26. So Jose Gonzalez, Robert Gillenwater, and Chad Coleman's coming on to pit road. So the 38 is also down for service. So the top 2 on the racetrack right now are still on that strategy, but they are about to be gobbled up by Adam Gilliland, Josh Williams, and the rest that are on that 3-stop strategy.
4 tires in fuel for Eidson, and I'll tell you, he got every ounce of what he could get going into pit road. He was right at the mark, as fast as I've seen anybody drive in, and now he's down and away, a good clean pit stop for the number 5, and he's going to feel like Superman when he returns back to the track with 4 fresh Goodyears, for sure.
And the last 2 drivers that are on that strategy, or at least that were ahead of the leaders, are down on pit road, Jose Gonzalez and Robert Gillenwater. I believe everybody else, Brian Cook is on pit road. Jason Barham stayed out on the racetrack. I believe he pitted earlier. I think everybody has come down pit road because that was the farthest you could go when it comes to fuel around this racetrack. You're not making this a 1-stop. Those guys that have made it this far are making it a 2-stop race, and now they are waiting for these other guys to come down pit road on what would be the 2nd and 3rd stops on the 3-stop strategy, Kevin. So they're hoping this race stays green until 80, 85-ish. We would anticipate those 3 stoppers back down on pit road, maybe go a little bit further because you can, maybe to 90. So this is kind of where that question mark comes in as to how far do you want to run on that 2nd run before you get tires and fuel back in that race car.
You know, Eidson has to take advantage of every ounce of good tire wear he has here to drive through this field as quickly as possible. And to your point, what did Gilliland, he pitted around lap 50?
About 40.
Right?
About 40.
You know, so think about that. There's 24 laps of difference. That's an eternity when it comes to the number of laps on tires. But Trey Eidson right now stuck behind the number 19 of Tyler Dalton and has to take a pause there as he drives around him. And yep, it'll just be interesting. We'll put a footnote over here to keep an eye on the 5, but come back to your leader, Adam Gilliland. Yeah, he's already 1.8 seconds out over 2nd place.
And there's the change for position number 2. It's Pedro Mojica going by the 95 and Josh Williams. And now Daniel Faulkingham will try to track down the 95. So that'll be a battle here in short order for position number 3. And Kevin, it might not be much of a battle because Faulkingham tried to take a look down there into corner number 3 that time. But look at the run that he gets in the middle of 3 and 4. Points that car to the inside off of corner number 4. And Daniel Faulkingham going to try to go to 3rd here. You talk about the tires, and even the couple laps of undercut will help you a little bit. Josh Williams was the first down onto pit road, and it's starting to show now, falling a little bit further back than the top 3 that just made their move by.
Yeah, watching Chad Coleman right now. He's listed as 1 lap down, but fresh tires, he's going to drive around the 81 with ease, go down into turn 3 and 4, come off to the front straightaway, and he'll return to the tail end of the lead lap. Have quite a few drivers trying to achieve that fact. The 43 is the next one. He's about 10, 15 car lengths behind the number 81 of Adam Gilliland. A little bit of damage, it looks like, to that 43. The back left rear fascia on that car, the ZL1 Camaro, damaged for Roth, and wonder if that has any impact on his speed here tonight.
You see the 43 there on your screen, and that little bit of a damage as Pedro Mojica moves to the inside as the 2nd place driver will move past the 43 and put him in the rearview mirror, just fell 1 lap down, and this is where the traffic starts to come into play. Jeff Ryan is currently the first driver 1 lap down in the 3 car. Randy Yoakum is the next to go a lap down, the leader of Adam Gilliland in between those 2 cars that we just mentioned. As you ride on board with Adam Gilliland, looking up, there's Randy Yoakum on your screen. That's the red and black car. That is the 32nd place car right now. Ahead of them is Marski, Matisse, Chad Coleman, and there's one we're not used to seeing run at the back of the pack is Chad Coleman, so he might have had something go wrong on his pit stop. Robert Gillenwater, one of those drivers on the late strategy, currently in position number 27, trying to make his way back up through the field. So drivers on some different strategies trying to put themselves in track position to make a run at this. But Chad Coleman there, just mentioned him. He made a move on 2 race cars to move him up 2 more spots and further away from this 81 car who's gobbling up this pack right here of lap traffic.
Yeah, it's hard to say how some of these strategies, it's hard to keep track of every single car, but I look at the 2, for example, Mike Kelly, I'm just shocked he's running 1 lap down, way off the pace there. Same thing with EJ O'Rourke. That 41 is almost always in the mix wherever we go. Right now he's running in the 40th position, 1 lap down. Not sure if some of these drivers that are still a lap down and did not get back to your leader quite a bit back had a problem on pit road or something to be 1 lap down.
Yeah, they've had some moving around to do with pit stops and maybe getting a pit stop penalty, maybe getting a slow pit stop, or maybe getting mired back in traffic one way or the other, whether they were coming and going through that little run that we had of the differing strategies. Is you see this Homestead Miami Speedway. We saw a cloud come over here a couple of moments ago that shaded most of this racetrack, but now the sun has kind of come back out, and the 58 of Pedro Mojica trying to track down the leader, but he may have to go in a little bit of defense mode because Daniel Faulkingham has closed in on him behind Adam Gilliland's lead about 2 seconds or so, and then Pedro Mojica battling with Daniel Faulkingham, and they've got a little bit of a gap back to Josh Williams, who's fallen to 4th, and no pressure from behind right now for Williams. Got about 4 seconds or so before Byron Daly's there. There are some cars there, Kevin, but they are not for position.
Yeah, looking back at our current top 10, good run for Nicholas Cohen. Started in the 35th position, has made it up to 11th. Just knocking on the door for that top 10. 25th starting spot for the number 1 of Joey Bailey. He's currently running 8th, and Gilliland is setting a torrid pace. Just continues to knock him down as he's got 2-second lead over Mojica and Faulkingham. Joshua Williams in the number 40 having a good race. Same with Byron Daly. This is a difficult track to master, and some of these drivers showing a lot of acumen in being able to get through these corners as quick as they are.
And not as much trying to get through and trying to navigate. These drivers that are in this Transervice Cup Series have driven these Cup cars a time or 2 around these racetracks, but it's the pit strategy too that we keep talking about. We keep driving it home, but that's the important part of this right now. And for those drivers that are on that second pit stop strategy or that 3-stop strategy, the window is kind of, it's not completely open, but it's kind of flapping in the breeze right now because we're getting closer to lap 80. We are halfway through race number 2 for the Transervice Cup Series here on VIDANE TV, but there's still plenty of laps to be run. How about Joey Bailey? We talked about him a little bit earlier. Top 3 run at Daytona, was able to put himself in a position to potentially win that race, and now he puts himself in 6th place. Again, there's a driver, and he's got that yellow band up there. He is a rookie on this series. We're only 2 races in, Kevin, but he's kind of impressed me so far.
Yeah, definitely having a strong run, no doubt, as I see Boris Cook rolling underneath Faulkingham, coming past him, driving past our 2nd place or 3rd place driver. That car looks pretty quick, and now you start to see some of these drivers that had fresher tires possibly take advantage of that. Trey Eidson hasn't come up that fast. He's currently running in the 14th position, 18 seconds back from our leader. Keeping an eye on him, but he's right in a gaggle of cars there. Brian, Boris Cook, that car looks pretty quick right now.
He was one of the last drivers to come down pit road along with this gentleman that we have on our screen, Trey Eidson, in a car number 5, and Trey is already up to position number 12 and makes that move on David Comstock. He'll move him up to position at number 11 and move him a little bit closer towards the front of the field. In behind him, I see another car that's quick that we really haven't spoken about all night long, and he is currently 1 lap down. How about the 41 of EJ O'Rourke? Not the night that EJ has won it. I would think there would have been a pit penalty or something there that would have put that personal comfort number 41 back there, but he did start 33rd. He admitted that he kind of balked on his qualifying lap, didn't get the qualifying lap that he wanted to, and it's just not going the right way for EJ O'Rourke, currently scored in position number 40 of 43.
Yeah, now we have a condition where it's like a conveyor belt. There's cars all over the racetrack, and you don't even know where to look. Some of them running at different paces, and yeah, it's just confusing to try and figure out what's going on here. But certainly, we know the answer for Adam Gilliland. He's out front still, almost a 2-second lead over Pedro Mojica. And Pedro, he's having a quiet, solid run in that number 58, just kind of hunkering in there in that second spot. And you have to wonder, from this pit strategy, I think they're in pretty good position.
Quiet and solid. I think that kind of describes Pedro Mojica as a driver. Don't really hear a whole lot from him. Kind of lets the driving do the talking on the racetrack instead of the driver doing the talking. Kind of let the skill do the work. But right now, position number 2, working his way up. And you look at the first and third place drivers, they weren't at Daytona. They've got something to prove. They've got to really get up on the wheel. They got to win some races, get some points, try to get it into the playoffs. And Pedro Mojica, same thing with kind of Byron Daly sitting back there in position number 4 as well. Kind of quiet, kind of methodically working his way through, and he'll be there before the end of this race. You can count on that, but right down with position number 4, you're right on board with Byron Daly down to the corner number 1.
Going back to Pedro Mojica, I remember back in the early 2000s racing with him, his connection from where he was just terrible. You could never tell how good he was because he'd drop out of every race and be 5 laps down, but obviously that those days are gone, and he shows his prowess here running in second in what is arguably one of the strongest leagues on the internet. These drivers super fast here, and look at that, 84 laps complete. We are ticking this thing off as we head past halfway.
We did see when we rode on board with Byron Daly that Josh Williams was ahead of him, and that wasn't for position. Josh Williams had just come down pit road, and you can see him trying to carve through the field. He went a little bit shorter on that run as you ride on board with the 95 car, and he pitted on 77, lap 77. We're working lap number 84 right now. He was the first to kind of pop that cork to come down into pit road, Kevin, and he was 43 laps into the run. We said earlier that Adam was 40, and it was a little bit longer than that. It was 50 laps for Adam Gilliland. So if you're going to do the 3-stop strategy at 50, 150, and then you can, or 50 and 100, and then you can go the rest of the way to make it 2, but kind of back it up a little bit. I think Josh is almost committed now to 3 for sure, and I think that's what he's kind of doing with those guys that pitted around 50. You can do a 2-stop race. Again, strategy. How it plays out for Josh, this race has to stay green. He is sitting back 1 lap down, position number 33. Adam Gilliland right now is in a little bit of traffic as he was just passed by Boris Cook in the 63 car to put the 63 car back on the lead lap. So that'll put him in 31st on the lead lap. But Adam is now being passed by those drivers that came down pit road just a wee bit later than Adam did, and it creates some traffic ahead of the leader.
Yeah, for some of these drivers, it's like, I got to throw some roll bar padding out or something. Yeah, Randy Yoakum right now sitting right behind Adam Gilliland, trying to get back to that lead lap. He's currently in the 31st position, looks to be the first car 1 lap down. And yeah, to your point, some of these drivers a little bit quicker than our leader because he pitted so early. And that's what's really cool about this. We sit here right now having no idea how the strategy is going to play out as cloud cover comes over the racetrack one more time.
And you look at this, the way this is playing out, you got Boris Cook ahead in the 63. Then you've got the 20 of Marsky. You got Joey Gattina in the 14. They are on a different strategy. Boris recently came down pit road compared to the other drivers, and he's going to try to pass those drivers for position. Adam Gilliland, meanwhile, is trying to pass them to put them a lap down. Boris a little bit quicker than Gilliland. Gilliland tries to get back at the number 63 this time, down into 3, can't get there. So you've kind of got a couple of races within a race. You've got Boris trying to make the move to pick up a couple of spots as the 20 car pulls down to allow the 63 to go to the outside. Ahead of them, you have the 14 of Joey Katina. Behind you have Adam Gilliland, who's trying to put them all, realistically trying to put them all a lap down, though the 63 is a little bit quicker than him because of the tire strategy. And then you mentioned Randy Oakham kind of hanging out back there, hoping that nobody goes a lap down in front of him so he would get the free pass when caution came out. So we talked about different pit strategies, but there's all kinds of different agendas right now, too, as there's the 8 on your screen. He was the first car 1 lap down, as the 20 of Mick Marski goes 1 lap down, and that is your free pass car right now.
And for Gilliland, this becomes complicated, right? He's just trying to get the fastest laps he can every lap, and he's got cars in and around him. Sometimes he gets a clean entry into the corner, other times he's got to check up because he's got a car in front of him and in preferred line, and you just strike that balance. Everybody's kind of fighting those same conditions, so it's not necessarily a detriment. And drivers are all aware of where the leader is. You know, Joey Jatina looks out his back mirror. He knows Adam Gilliland's leader. He doesn't want to get past, but he also doesn't want to hold the leader up if the leader's coming by. So, you know, these drivers are all courteous, but they're running their own race for sure.
And especially being 91 laps deep into this race, you're kind of in your own zone right now. The virtual roll bar padding, you know, kind of slumped over to the right-hand side and kind of in that groove. And you, at this point, especially in the race, you don't want to be the one that brings out the caution flag. We're 50 laps to go, making 49 this time by. You don't want to be that guy to bring out the first caution flag of the evening, but you're also kind of wanting to break right now, so it's a mental game as well. Who breaks first? Who blinks first? And do we go green flag the rest of the way? And oh, by the way, all these drivers at least have 1 more pit stop left, including a couple of drivers that came down pit road just a few laps ago.
Yeah, and one of the things we could say is that all these drivers pretty much had a clean race. I mean, from a pit stop standpoint, they did a really good job. We didn't see anybody laps down because of a penalty. And I'm curious about something. Do you see the 95 currently sitting in the 32nd position? Do I have that right?
You have that right. He came down pit road on lap 77 for the second pit stop, so he is definitely on a 3-stop strategy. A lot of these drivers, and we thought, okay, they come down 50, they come down between 40 and 50, they do a 3-stop strategy, but I think I've kind of got myself convinced that guys like Adam Gilliland and those guys near the front that went a little bit, kind of a little bit of the undercut, are still on a 2-stop strategy, but they might be going a little bit further on that 3rd stint than we think they might. I don't think they'll undercut it to a 3-stop, at least. I think that's the bed that Adam and the field are buckled into right now, as Adam continues to lead this race. Pedro Mojica in 2nd, Daniel Faulkingham in 3rd, and Gilliland continues to stay out on the racetrack. And I would anticipate if he goes the same run that he did on the first one, we'll see him down in about 5 to 10 laps or so, around that lap 100 mark.
Yeah. You know, it's an interesting strategy. The 95 went so long and then pitted short. I'm not sure what the game plan was there. Get the best that you can out of. I mean, you kind of gave up your tire wear. Was he not coming forward and decided he wanted fresh tires? I'm confused on that strategy.
He pitted short, but he didn't pit too short, because he pitted on 43, and then he pitted on 77, so it was only 6 or 7 laps short. He was still short compared to where he probably should have been, as Thomas O'Leary comes onto pit road. He was one of those drivers on that first little strategy. Tyler Dalton is also on pit road. So this is kind of where the cork was kind of popped with some of these drivers that started to pit around lap 50. Josh Parker is sitting on pit road as well. So there's some drivers that are starting to throw their hand out the window. I would expect Adam Gilliland to be down here, knowing that these guys are trying to undercut a little bit. I think this might force the hand of the 81.
Yeah, certainly you're going to look at those drivers you're racing with at this juncture, and you don't want to get out of step with them. You know, you got to give it to Mojica and Faulkingham. While they're 2 seconds back, they have kept Adam Gilliland honest. They're right there within striking distance. If they run laps just a tick faster, they'll be right to the back bumper of that number 81. And I still feel like some of these drivers are pacing themselves 97 laps, you still got 1/3 of this race to go.
But if you come down pit road now, or around the lap 100 mark, if you're Adam Gilliland, you came down on 50. You're going to come down, your second run is 50 laps. Then your last run, as long as it stays green, is 40 laps to the finish. So your third run is a little shorter than your first and second runs. Maybe you can go a little bit harder. I would almost think that would be kind of dangerous for the rest of the field, knowing that Adam Gilliland is so good, especially on the medium to longer run, because he's not losing a ton of time to Pedro Mojica, or Mojica's not making up a ton of time. But we got a little battle back there, actually. Pedro Mojica's falling back to some drivers that came down into pit road, including Josh Williams.
See the 43 of Roth coming off pit road. I want to give a shout out to the Elliott Henderson, number 37, running in 11th position right now. Good run, started 24th, solid effort for that number 37 Camaro, and just kind of pacing himself. He's right now running behind Jose Gonzalez, who's in that 10th position, and he's in lockstep to get a top 10 here in the middle of this race.
Yeah, doing a great job right now as he tracks down Jose Gonzalez in front of him, and that is the battle for position number 10 if he can get up there. There's the 41 of E.J. O'Rourke buzzing around the outside line after just coming down onto pit road. We're at lap number 99 right now, and you can start to see some drivers that just came down pit road making their way through. This is where that strategy kind of plays out. Interested to see what Trey Eidson does here, though, because he went so long on that first run. As you see a couple of more drivers coming down to the pit road, including Tommy Ryan in the 99. With Trey Eidson, he went so long in that first stop. You know you're only making one more stop to the end of this race. Do you abandon that strategy and come down? How far do you go after Adam Gilliland and the leaders come down into pit road? You're still making time up, but you've kind of stalled it out at about 14 seconds, the gap from first back to Trey Eidson. Last lap by for Adam Gilliland was a 33.87. Trey is a 33.67 the last time by, so he gained 2/10, but it's not really enough if you're trying to get there at the end. So I would think that Trey might have to try something different than maybe going 60-something laps on fuel, but that's why we're up here, Kevin, and not down on the racetrack.
No doubt. Yeah, the strategies here, that definitely some of these pit crews are looking at calculators that are just humming away. Trey Eidson way up high, up near the fence here. I don't know if he's trying to yield the line, save his tires, do whatever, but that number 5 running in the 6th position. Yeah, I don't know. As a series champion, he's got things figured out, so we'll see whether or not this is going to play off strategically towards the end.
Daniel Faulkingham got everything that he could on pit road on his 2 trips down as Simley comes down. There's Adam Gilliland down on pit road in the 81, and that's a little more aggressive than he was the last time he came down pit road, but a little bit longer on that run. There's Byron Daly on pit road in the 33. A little bit longer on that run, won about 52 laps or so for Adam Gilliland compared to 50 the first time. The hands lead over to this car, de facto. That would be Justin Fuller, as Fuller will lead this race the next time by if the 5 car does not pass him. Trey Eidson, this is the battle for the lead right now as they come up at a corner number 2. And Fuller trying to lead, I believe, what would be his first lap of the evening, Kevin. Trey trying to get back there and trying to upset the apple cart. Their teammates, I don't know if that's going to affect anything. Maybe not. There goes the 5.
Yeah, it's in ducks under with ease, and he's going to slide by and pull over to the outside lane. He'll lead this lap as they come back to the stripe. And 51 of Justin Fuller tucks into his tire tracks. Eidson didn't drive away, but Eidson has such a good drive in and through the center of the corner. And then that car just launches up off as Fuller drifts up a little bit. And now Fuller might get a little bit of a draft, but he's got a challenge as he's got Josh Parker to his inside on faster tires. So, yeah, the strategies here are just fascinating. Fuller taps Eidson, gets him sideways. Eidson comes up, taps Fuller. Fuller sideways, he's going to go down. Spin, he's spinning right here on the front straightaway across the line. Will he be able to collect it? Nobody's hit him. And I'm believing that's going to have to bring a caution.
We're
no
still
caution yet. There it is.
There's the yellow flag. That was Josh Parker that went around on the front straightaway in the 23 car. But there's an aggressive driver that's not afraid to let the rough side drag a little bit. And for the first time this evening, we'll take a look at the replay. And it happened for the lead position. As the 5 of Trey Eidson, the 23 of Josh Parker made contact, we'll send it down to Showtime, Paul Strickland Jr.
Yeah, you got to take a look at the VIDANE.shop instant replay, and you got to check that out when you get a chance. Just head on over to your internet browser, punch in VIDANE.shop, get yourself we got dad hats, we got trucker hats, we got t-shirts, hooded sweatshirts, all that good stuff. Check that out. Let everybody know that you support these guys on Vidane TV that do this iRacing thing just about every night of the week. But taking a quick peek here, we can see the 5-car leading the race. Josh Parker, in a lap down or so, comes up, gives a little bit of a nudge to the 5-car, and the 5-car didn't really like that too much. Came up and gave him a little bit of a how you doing, and spins him around. It doesn't look like there was too much damage done to the 23 Bud Light Interstate battery machine. That's an interesting combo. That's a Josh Parker combo if I ever saw one. Josh does a fantastic job. That's the veteran coming out in Josh Parker. He slams on the gas, gets those rear tires spinning, and completely misses the inside wall. Does an awesome job getting that thing stopped as well outside of the racing group. And there you see he grabs a gear, waits for traffic to clear out, gets that thing pointed in the right direction. Still a lap down, so it's been a tough night for Josh Parker, but all in all, a pretty good save there.
We got the field down on the pit road. This kind of brings everybody on the same page. Adam Gilliland, if he stays out on the racetrack, and I think he did, he was going to be around the 18th, 19th position, but everybody else is coming down on the pit road. But I got one question, Paul. It might be showing my age, even though I'm younger than you. What is a dad hat?
You know, quite honestly, I'm not sure, but it is new and it's trending because I'm seeing them everywhere. I think it's the kind of hat where it's got like the little belt buckle looking thing on the back of it, but I'm not entirely sure. I haven't gotten my samples yet in the mail. But yeah, you see dad hats everywhere. It's new and it's trendy. So if you want to be trendy, you got to go to Vidane.shop and pick yourself up a Vidane TV dad hat.
There you go, Kevin. Do you have a dad hat?
I can't say that I do have a dad hat.
I think they're going to have to get the Vidane.shop boys on that and get us a couple of hats to make us look somewhat good. But Trey Eidson was the leader, came down into pit road. Josh Williams in the 95 car should be moving up here, and I believe he will be scored as your leader this time by. So the tides have changed. We went 100+ laps caution-free, and now, Kevin, what do you anticipate here in these remaining 37 laps or so, or 33 laps of this race?
Yeah, it's all about whether you have tires or not. These drivers are going to split the difference probably of what's left, and this is what we talked about earlier. Some of those drivers who hung on to their tires, if they have an extra set, we have a couple cautions here. Certainly, we've learned one thing tonight. Tires make a huge difference. I just have to go back to that number 23 spinning down the front stretch. How did he not collect the inside wall? He was able to swing that car out and then not spin out and come up in front of the racing group. What an incredible job Josh Parker did.
I think that's what you call talent. Josh has a ton of it. He is a eNASCAR Heat pro driver. He was a former eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver. So he's got a little bit of that talent thing, and he's going to have to come from the back, though, and looking at that, that did travel him a lap down, coming off of pit road right now, sitting in 33rd place. So he's probably not too happy. He's probably a little hot under the collar, but he'll be fighting for the free pass spot, and he's got a fight on his hands, Kevin, because I'm looking down this list. There are 10 drivers that are one lap down right now.
Yeah, and certainly you're going to have to wonder if somebody's going to have to go visit the trailers of those two drivers after that event, as that is personification of elbows up. But we're going to reset this stack here, and this has really juggled things up. Adam Gilliland still up there, so is Pedro and Faulkingham, but we have Josh Williams out front now, and you know, some of these drivers, they have a mix of tires on their cars, so this restart should be really challenging when they get to turn one.
You mentioned the buzzword, though. If we go 20 laps or so and get a caution with 10 laps to go, I think everybody comes down on pit road, because I think for the most part, maybe minus some of the drivers near the back of the field, they've all got one set of tires left. They started the race, check that, with 4. We've had 2 green flag, or for some, 1 green and 1 caution pit stop, and obviously they started with 1 in the race car, so they would have 1 set of tires down on pit road to finish this race out. But how far do we go? And what is the run like? And how much did Adam Gilliland and Josh Williams and Daniel Faulkingham use their tires in that short little green flag stint? Green flag flies. We're back underway. And Williams and Gilliland, we saw it play out early, Kevin. We'll see if this race ends with them going at it and who ends up trying to upset the apple cart. Pedro Mojica sitting in fourth, too.
Charge off the turn 2 as Gilliland drives out. Here comes Faulkingham. He's going to run around the 95 and see if he can get to that second position. If Faulkingham is in striking distance of your leader, that should make for an interesting race as the 58 follows through, and Williams just cannot stem the damage here as drivers going right, drivers going left around him. He's back to the 5th position in 1 lap.
Cloud goes away on the front straightaway. Justin Fuller has been able to make a move, and there goes that 95 way up the racetrack, and going to lose a bunch of positions. There goes Gonzalez. There goes Chad Coleman. The 63 is next up in line and behind Boris Cook. There's plenty. There's a couple of cars scattering near the back of the field. We stay green, but here's some tense moments right here around this 99 of Tommy Ryan.
Yeah, 3 wide, 4 wide somewhere back there. These drivers, they're going to get all they can if they've got fresh tires. As the driver on the move up front is Kevin Brown, currently in 6th. He's underneath the number 51 of Justin Fuller. Really tight going into the corner. Fuller gets a good run to the outside. It's going to hold him back, but Brown, he was in contention for that Saturday night championship right to turn 4 on the last lap. Netcode contact sent him spinning and easily able to grab the championship, but right now Fuller pulls in. He's going to take that position. Brown shoving him literally down the straightaway here.
4 wide coming off at turn number 4, and there should have been probably 2 or 3 wrecks in this little mess that we're watching on screen, but somehow they have kept it straight. And there goes Tommy Ryan to the extreme outside of the 21 of Cohan. Cohan was up in front of that restart, has fallen back. The 1 car at Joey Bailey's coming back towards the front of the field. Mentioned drivers and different agendas on the green flag run. There's different agendas being played here on this short run. There's Scott Stenzel. Haven't talked a whole lot about the 63 this evening. He's falling back in the sucker hole in the middle. The 37 of Henderson moves up a spot. There's some drivers that really need to go because they know there's less than 30 laps to go. The 45 tank slaps the wall down the front.
I have absolutely no idea how they made those couple sets of corners. They were running 3 or 4 wide with cars banging off of each other going through there. Yet somehow they settled it, and they're still tussling over there going into turn number 3.
There's a bomb about to go off here. It's just a matter of who lights the fuse right now because there's a few drivers trying to make it happen, but where do you watch on this racetrack? There are so many good battles. We keep watching the middle of the racetrack, but up in front, I want to say it's got calm, but it hasn't. The 33 of Byron Daly is about to lose a spot to Justin Fuller, and as I say that, the 33 pulls even down the back straightaway. Fuller has been the driver on the move since the restart, but methodically now trying to move up because these positions keep getting harder as he gets closer towards the front of the field. They keep getting more difficult to make those moves. The 93 of Kevin Brown parks in behind the 33 of Byron Daly, and then in behind, and a couple more drivers on the move. How about Boris Cook in the top 10? He's made his move. He's looking at the 26 car of Jose Gonzalez. Chad Coleman takes a peek to the bottom of the 63. So there are some drivers that are working this thing, and we're coming down to the final 25 laps of this race. The front half of this field, Kevin, has kind of found their footing. That middle of the pack that was 2 and 3 wide and potentially 4 wide, you can just see it off the side of your screen. It's still not settled.
I'll tell you what, we need to do our driver picks for the win. I take Gilliland.
Yeah.
He's about 0.4 of a second faster than the rest of the field right now. It's just astonishing how fast he is. He's got almost a third of a straightaway lead over Daniel Faulkingham of anything. He is just flying. Who do you have?
Can I take the field? I mean, that's...
You can. I'm going to win.
Yeah, Adam right now, the middle of the run, we saw... Pedro was kind of matching his pace on the longer run when they have the same age on their tires. And there's a couple of laps in between some of these guys near the front of the field. But if I'm taking somebody, I'll take Justin Fuller to the bank because he is coming to the front of this field. He's battling for second right now as you kind of see Jose Gonzalez off the corner of your screen battling with Byron Daly for a spot to try to get a little bit closer to the front. Byron falling back a little bit. Boris Cook and Chad Coleman are a part of that battle, but Justin Fuller is poised to make a move here for position number 2. Gets a great run off of 4. Gets right up to the back bumper of the 39 of Faulkingham, but can't do anything down into 1.
Big Gonzalez having a great run running into 6 right now. Another solid driver who just keeps coming forward every race. As the 58 of Mojica sees Kevin Brown slide by. Kevin Brown taking over that 5th position. Here comes the challenge for that 2nd spot. You said it, Justin Fuller ducks underneath. He's going to take over that 2nd spot from Faulkingham. Faulkingham going to drop back in behind him. Maybe he'll follow the groove. He looks like he's going to try to do the crossover, but nope, he's going to tuck in the tire tracks and push him down the front straightaway.
Fuller wanted that win bad last week when it came to Daytona, and he came up a couple of positions short, or came up a couple of feet short, I should say, in that 2nd place spot. Good point night, or whatever. He wants to win a race, and he's pulling away from Daniel Faulkingham. Is he making up time on Adam Gilliland? It kind of remains to be seen over these next couple laps. He's got 20 laps to make it happen. Gilliland a little bit faster the last time by than Fuller, but now Fuller has clean air. He can kind of see him out the windshield, and now trying to reel him in, because the only thing between Adam Gilliland and Justin Fuller right now is air, and the only thing between Justin Fuller and locking himself in the playoffs is Adam Gilliland. And about the same time the last time by, Fuller at a 32.74, Adam at a 32.72, so a couple of hundredths in between those 2 teammates up there. But don't put it past Justin Fuller, Kevin. If he can get up there and make a move on Adam Gilliland, he'll try to make it happen to try to get himself into the playoffs early in the season.
Yeah, you certainly have a season objective to check the box early, and then you can run the rest of the season however you want it, as long as you know when you get to the end you're in that championship. Looking at a 15th place Joey Jattina in that number 14, he was kind of mired back in those 20s. His car coming forward. Good run for Joey tonight. Sitting right in front of him, Mike Montesi in the 32nd position. Not the run he wanted. There's a couple of these drivers still trying to see if they can, salvage the best. Montesi is the 2nd car 1 lap down. Jason Barham right in front of him is in that lucky dog position, and these drivers, they would like to see a caution come out and see if they can get their way back into that lead lap.
Of note, Trey Eidson has retired from this race, Kevin, and I'm not sure why. I don't know if he had something, family emergency or something, but he was running in 11th at the time, and he pulled it right down onto pit road. So keep that as a kind of a footnote for this evening. Look at Jason Barham's car. You mentioned the damage on the back end, but he and Tommy Ryan are about to go at it. And it's not necessarily for a position, but Tommy Ryan trying to get by him. But again, 2nd week in a row, not the night that Jason Barham won it.
Yeah, no doubt. Jason Barham getting a little bit of heat from his challenge that he had at Daytona, trying to get things squared away here at the Homestead Motor Speedway. So I'm watching this good battle for 5th, 6th, and 7th. Chad Coleman down there on the bottom, trying to sneak up underneath Boris Cook. And Pedro Mojica looks like he's fallen back a little bit into the clutches of these drivers.
Yeah, and he is running out of time to make something happen, and he's going the opposite way that he should. This next time by, Kevin, 15 laps to go. Justin Fuller is as quick as Adam Gilliland, but there's about a 1.5 seconds in between them. They keep trading faster laps, but those laps are by hundredths of a second per lap. You saw the last lap by for Adam Gilliland was a 33.10. This lap by is a 33.11 to Justin Fuller's 33.21, so Adam a bit quicker on that last lap, but not where he probably should be right now.
Laps are ticking off, 126 laps in the books. We have 140 of the distance to go. So, it's go time. If we don't see a caution, it's going to be between somebody in this top 5. But again, I think tough row to hoe to see if you can catch that number 81. He's flying tonight. Although I noticed the 39 of the 3 of them might have run the fastest lap last time by.
Faulkingham might have saved something here for this last run, but I don't know if he saved enough to get up to Adam Gilliland. And honestly, I don't know if he saved enough to get up here and battle Justin Fuller for position number 2. It might be just enough to keep him out of a battle between himself and Jose Gonzalez for position number 4. And then Kevin Brown running right now in position number 5. So they've got some great runs. But how about the run by Boris Cook? We mentioned that he played the pit strategy well. He's up from 41st to 7th throughout this race. And he's still, I think, got a position or two left in him. He's going to go to the outside and try to pitch that thing near the wall and get by Pedro Mojica. But Boris Cook has done a great job this evening and looking for at least one more. He's definitely the hard charger of the evening.
No doubt. And the funny thing is Boris Cook, he was 11th of the 11 drivers that timed their way into this race. That's why he started so far back. He just made the cut over the first alternate, which was Nick Chambrone. So certainly making the best of the opportunity to get in here tonight. Great run for that number 63.
Still trying to work that outside line. It's fun to watch, and if you're Chad Coleman to the inside, you're trying to get there and trying to get that run, but he gets a great run off of turn 2, does Boris Cook, and tries to get a little bit closer to Pedro Mojica. That is going to be a battle down to the end of this one. 11 laps to go this time by. Adam Gilliland continues to pull away, and I think we've hit the sweet spot kind of in the run. Fuller's tires have kind of evened out a little bit compared to where Adam's are, and Adam tacked on another 10th that last time. It was a 33.25 to a 33.34. So there's some time to be made up by Justin Fuller. I think the only game changer that we would have, Kevin, is if we had a yellow. And I think if we had a yellow at this point, these guys are kind of spread out. You see it there from the speed shot. Everybody's kind of spread out. There's really, I don't want to say no battles on the racetrack, but there's space between them, yeah.
Yeah, and typically, unless a driver makes a mental mistake, you don't typically see a caution when they're spread out this way. And, you've known that to be a characteristic of Homestead, although in the real world, sometimes they're running way up against that outside wall. Here, they're comfortably in the middle or lower on the track. Looking at that battle for 10th is heating up. Timothy Johnson right there on the back bumper of a driver that made a good recovery. Bobby Wetzel at one point in this race was back in the low 20s, I think, and currently running 10th, trying to salvage the top 10 here tonight at Homestead, having a good run in that number 9. Was getting a challenge and just ran a couple good laps. Maybe the cloud cover here has helped that number 9 car as he's pulled just a little bit of a distance. Timothy Johnson was banging on that back bumper. Well, here comes Johnson right to it again. I think we're not done yet, settled in that top 10 about where people are going to land.
And the way these guys are racing may bring out one of those yellow flags before it's all said and done. I saw Robert Gillenwater make a move on Joey Bettina to pick up a spot at about 16th place. Elliot Henderson, a part of that battle as well. And I think that might be one of the biggest slugfest right now, besides that Bobby Wetzel and Tim Johnston battle. And just looking through this field, there are a couple of close battles. There might be some positions being changed before the end of it. Josh Williams, who dominated this race early, is back up to 25th, but he's going to run out of laps if this continues to go the way it is. Adam Gilliland has 132 laps completed, continues to pull away from the field, and I kind of questioned earlier whether Faulkingham was going to be able to catch Justin Fuller, and if he gets there, it's going to be a late challenge. But Daniel Faulkingham continues to pull laps faster than Justin Fuller, but Fuller pulled out a 33.37 that time to the 52 of Faulkingham. So I think Fuller saved something. I don't know if he saved enough, though.
Yeah, Fuller gained just a little bit, a fraction that lap around, and Faulkingham dropped a little. So I just think that we're going to see, miss a mark just a smidge here and there, and it'll be the difference. But there's way too big of a gap unless somebody finds something magical here. I don't think they're going to run that 81 down. And certainly we have to go back and look at the complexion of this race. The woulda, coulda, shoulda for somebody like Trey Eidson. That incident just turned the night from bad to worse as he was, leading this event and had a really good strategy. And you have to wonder, hard luck driver for tonight. Could he have come away with the victory? Had an interesting strategy going there, and it all got upset with that incident over there on the front straightaway, lap 105.
For sure, what might have been for some of these drivers, you talk about Josh Williams coming from the back of the field in this race, Trey Eidson, Josh Parker. Just like Daytona, we had some names that ran up front for a majority of the race, but aren't going to finish there. And I think that's kind of been the story of the first two races. But Justin Fuller has been consistent. He probably is going to be the point leader for what it's worth heading out of here with a couple of podium finishes, a couple of runner-up finishes, unless something happens to Adam Gilliland in front of him. And I know he doesn't want to wish any malice on his teammate, but Adam Gilliland doing what he has to do after missing Daytona, and he's only 3.5 laps away from picking up the win here in round number 2 for the Transervice Cup Series.
If you watch Gilliland's lap, he's smooth as glass, runs down right on that seam out of turn 3 and 4, lets the car roll up to the fence, coming up to the front straightaway. Not flirting with the wall, just keeping the car down a little bit in case there's a little emergency he needs. He comes again down to the seam, maybe drops the tire low underneath that seam, and the car's just fast through the middle and drives off smooth up off the corner and to the back straightaway. And that car has been on rails all night long now. He's got 2 slow cars up ahead in the distance. Not sure if he's going to catch them before this thing is over, but I really don't believe it's going to make a difference. Gilliland on cruise control here to wrap up the final couple laps here at Homestead.
And the biggest battle on the racetrack as we get ready to close this race is the 63 of Boris Cook and Byron Daly for 8th. Everybody kind of in front of these guys has found their position, give or take, unless somebody makes a small mistake or 2, but they'll come down the back straightaway. This time by Adam Gilliland, way out in front by 2.5 seconds. Fuller, Faulkingham, Gonzalez, and Brown, your top caution is out on the speedway.
Yellow.
Yeah,
Holy
that's
cow.
going to change everything.
How about that? Oh, Gilliland's got to be screaming at the windshield.
I see Matisse slow on pit road, coming off of pit road, but we'll take a look at the VIDANE.shop instant replay where you can get your dad hats, your mom bods, and whatever else Paul has for sale there. And Paul, was it the 42?
It was, in fact, the 42. Milt Matisse here in the 42 scored a lap down, 36th position, if scoring serves me right. We can take a quick peek here. It looks like there was just a little bit of contact between he and the 22, and we'll give it to you here. We're going to do the slow motion. You can see 42 kind of dips down, Matisse and the 22 of Rivera, Nelson Rivera, in that Verizon Ford. You can see gets real close to him, and it looks like the 22 spotter just didn't let him know there was a car down there. You see the 42 get down low, big contact. That Shell Pennzoil machine on the inside pit wall there, and it looks like he's going to scrape it one more. Nope, he turns away from the wall, but big time damage, and it looks like as he tried to gas the car back up in a little bit of a lower gear and spun that thing in the wrong direction, you can see he's up in the racing groove at that point. So self brake for the 42, long night getting a little bit longer, and that actually looks like we're not quite setting up for a green-white checkered.
No, we are setting up for a green-white checker finish, and everybody is on pit road to get service on the race car. I'm not sure what the ticker has been. I think the ticker went to the Two Drunk Esports School of Counting, and that's where it is. But everybody's coming off of pit road. But the one thing that I did see on that replay that Paul had before we talk about pit stops, the one of Joey Bailey was into the fence coming off of turn 4. The 22, I think, kind of goes to the inside, and the 42 was there. So the 22 definitely of Nelson Rivera cut down, but it wasn't because of any malicious intent. And I think the only intent there might have been the 42 kind of honking on the brakes coming onto the racetrack to maybe trigger this green-white checker finish. But I digress. This is going to be an interesting restart. We got drivers that stayed out on the racetrack. Adam Gilliland is the first one, off pit road. We'll see how this all shakes out, because I think we got some drivers here going to pull at least attempt to pull a Hail Mary.
Yeah, I agree with your assessment on that. It looked like an evasive action maneuver, but that set this all up, and wow, who'd have guessed? And this reminds me of the eNASCAR Championship last year, and Gilliland's going to sit back there in about the 5th position, but I suspect as fast as he's been all night, if he can find a hole, he's going to drive right through this. He's got Faulkingham right there on the back, though, looking to see if he can steal this away, and well, this is going to be fun.
We have 2 attempts at a green-white checker finish, and Kevin, I have a feeling we may use both of them with the way this one shakes out. Tim Johnston, Stefan Marinick, Tommy Ryan, and Thomas O'Leary the 4th are your top 4. And nothing against those four drivers, but we haven't really spoke about them all night long, but you put yourself in a position to try to win a race. I don't fault those drivers that are up there.
Absolutely. These drivers got nothing to lose, and at worst, they're going to slip back to 8th, 10th, or whatever. And, the other thing that could happen is you could get 2 quick cautions, and if you could stay out in front of those cars with fresh tires, you might still win here. That's worth the gamble.
I think Adam Gilliland before, and he will remind me, I'm sure, after the race, after he goes back to look at it. I think there was one of those Coke races back in the day where somebody in the booth hung him for staying out on old tires and saying it was a bad strategy. It wasn't me. I'll throw that out there. It wasn't me that said it. And it kind of mentioning that on a long green flag run. We've got 2 laps to go, at least. There could be a green-white checker as the lights are off the top of the pace car. This is the first of 2 attempts at a green-white checker finish. We're nowhere near the time limit in this race, so that's not an issue either. But if Adam has to win this race, or if Daniel Faulkingham wins this race, or Justin Fuller gets by, they're going to have to make some evasive moves. Remember what you said at the top of the show, Kevin, that this racetrack is plenty wide?
Yeah.
There's plenty of room to do it. It's just a matter of these drivers are able to maneuver around each other to make it happen to see a good finish.
I have to say, I like Faulkingham's position, right? Because a lot of these drivers are going to go down in that corner, and maybe the 81 gets boxed in, and the 39 drives around the outside. If he gets out in front of the 81, it might be hard to track him down. Going to find out here. The pace car is about to turn left and set this field free, and this is going to be an interesting turn 1.
If you're Adam Gilliland, you can't go below Tommy Ryan to pick up a spot before the line. There goes the leader. Green flag flies. Tim Johnston is your leader. Keep an eye on Gilliland. There he goes to the inside of the 99 of Tommy Ryan. Daniel Faulkingham pulls ahead of Fuller. 3 wide. Tommy Ryan, Stefan Marinick to the outside of Adam Gilliland. Gilliland makes it look easy, and Fuller wants to make it 4. He goes back to 3, goes back to 2, and now to the inside of Faulkingham. Meanwhile, up in front, Tim Johnston has Adam Gilliland knocking on the door.
Gilliland hard down into the corner. The grip is just going to let him drive away. Fuller down underneath Faulkingham. They're side by side coming out of turn number 4 as they come down to get the white flag. It's going to be Gilliland with a 10-car length lead over Faulkingham. Those two are wrestling for that second position as Gilliland streaks away.
Justin Fuller to the inside, not going to get there off of corner number 2. They will race for position number 2, but that will be all it is. Adam Gilliland down the back straightaway for the final time at Homestead. Missed the Daytona International Speedway opener for the Transervice Cup Series, but he's going to go back to a familiar place in Homestead Victory Lane. Checkered flag for the Personal Comfort 81. He wins at Homestead, and the field in behind, Faulkingham and Fuller second and third, Gonzalez and Brown. I don't want to say that was where essentially it was before that caution flag flew late, minus the change in second and third and the battle in there, but the guys that were up front were able to kind of maneuver their way back, and Adam Gilliland goes back to victory lane.
Yeah, and a great job by this field to get through those final laps and just keep things clean and run through. And yep, you got to give it to Gilliland. He played the strategy right. The good news for him is he was able, to your point, get to that start finish line, get down underneath, and he only had 1 car to clear by the backstretch. He was gone.
And he is going to light it up on the front straightaway as the winner, first time this season, and he is locked in to the playoffs as long as he can, get up there in the top points that he needs to. Daniel Faulkingham, again, he missed Daytona as well, finishes in second. Justin Fuller comes home in third. He has the best 2 finishes of anybody this season so far. Jose Gonzalez, Kevin Brown, your top 5. Byron Daly, Pedro Mojica. I would have to think Pedro was kind of disappointed with that finish, Kevin, the way he ran in 7th place. Bobby Wetzel in 8th. Boris Cook, hard charger of the evening, 41st to 9th. And Chad Coleman in 10th.
Yeah, and we look at someone like Joey Bailey, who finished second at a Daytona, not in that top 15 and down there in the 20th position. So from a point championship standpoint, things are going to shift, but it's so early in the season. The only thing that matters is Adam Gilliland checked the box. He's going to run for the championship later in November.
There's a lot of names on that second page that have kind of went back and forth all night. Kyle Tarasca kind of ran the middle of the pack was able to come home in 12th. Richard Beasley, talking about him battling, trying to struggle to get a top 20 run early in this race, comes home 15th. Josh Williams, I think, is probably the heartbreak story of the evening after the pit strategy didn't go his way. He finishes 17th. Stefan Marinick was one of those drivers that stayed out on that last caution, 18th. Tommy Ryan, 19th. And Joey Bailey finishes in 20th, 21st to 30th. On your screen now, Chris Cabot, Scott Simley, Scott Stenzel. Nelson Rivera was involved in that late race caution, comes home 24th. Mike Montesi, Thomas O'Leary, who was up in the top 5 before the green flag flew. David Comstock, Nick Cohan, Elliot Henderson, and Tyler Dalton back to 30.
Yeah, and it's not on your screen, but there it is. Mike Kelly, that number 2. He's always up there contesting for wins, ends up 32nd here tonight. Not a good start to the 2021 season, but Gilliland burning them down on the front straightaway. Not going to have any tires left in that number 81, but that don't matter. They're all done. He had what he needed for this race, and what a stellar race, and what a way to show authority, Tim. He just took control of this race about halfway through and just never look back.
And we'll see if we can catch up with our winner, Adam Gilliland. Adam, it's been a while. Welcome back to Victory Lane.
Yeah, it has, Tim, and it definitely brings back some memories getting interviewed by you. So glad to have you in the booth. Really happy to cap tonight off with a win. Was going to be really devastated if we weren't able to close that deal with that late caution. I saw the flagman holding the white flag, but he decided to pull out the yellow flag, and I got a little worried.
After missing Daytona International Speedway, obviously you had other things that were going on and being at the real Daytona, but to come back, was there kind of a chip on your shoulder knowing that you missed the first race and kind of had to get to Victory Lane at a racetrack that you were in Victory Lane at last year?
I don't know if it's so much the feeling of needing to get back to Victory Lane, but you always, after you put yourself in a points hole, you always want to, right the ship and come out and get max points like I did tonight. Obviously, in the big picture, if you can get a win, you secure yourself in the playoffs, and really points don't matter. But all in all, going in tonight, I had that points gap, and I was just doing everything I could to have a good run, and it just happened to be a really good racetrack for me, and we executed all night.
Had the conversation with Fuller last week after the race where you're kind of going to get to Victory Lane or kind of going to point your way in. You kind of have to have that mentality going in, but now that you have that win, does it change the mentality from week to week going into the next 24 or so races?
Oh, absolutely. Last year, after we were able to secure our first win, I think it actually was Homestead as well. It changes the whole rest of the season, especially, we got situations where we got tire limits now, and that definitely opens up some opportunity to gamble and take tires or save a set late and hope for a yellow. So, we're pretty much going to be in a position to gamble and try to get as many wins and rack up as many playoff points as possible for the rest of the regular season.
So one win in the bank. Are you looking forward to any other racetrack this season? Obviously, you racked the wins up last year, but let's look future, at least in the early term of this schedule. What are you most looking forward to in 2021?
Well, as you know, I really like Richmond, so I always circle those 2 dates. And then I'll look to get, back to Victory Lane, hopefully at Texas. That's my home track. That's one track I don't think I've won at on this calendar. So we'll try to do that. But, Richmond and obviously the plate races are pretty fun. We'll try to capitalize on those races and rack up the wins.
You still got Gary Mercer trucking on the side of the car, but Personal Comfort is on board this season. Who else is on this race car, and how cool is it to have some new marketing partners on the side?
Yeah, no, it's really cool to see all the support this season from Scott Stencil and Personal Comfort. He offers a better number, bet at a better price. Really thankful to have him and all the support that he's given really to our whole team. Fuller's sponsored by him, EJ. Really, we got 4, 5, 6 guys. So really excited to have him on. As you mentioned, Gary Mercer Trucking. Brandon's been a long time supporter of mine. And, I appreciate you guys at VIDANE TV for putting on this broadcast.
It's great to have you along for the ride once again this season, Adam. Congratulations. And now you're buckled into the playoffs. Pressure's off a little bit for the next couple of weeks.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're going to celebrate the next couple hours, and then we're going to go get buckled in.
Congratulations. That's Adam Gilliland, your winner tonight from the Homestead Miami Speedway. We'll kick it on over to Kevin England, who has caught up with our second-place finisher tonight. Another driver, Kevin, that missed Daytona, had to work his way back up here and finished in position number 2. We'll get you hooked up with Daniel Faulkingham. Kevin?
6:30 in the evening here at Homestead, and just had to walk over here to come around the side of the car to talk to Daniel Faulkingham. And yep, fireworks going off on the backstretch. Some fireworks on that last lap, but Daniel, for you, it was a good race, man. You saw the back bumper of that 81 tonight. How do you catch him next time come back here?
If dirty air wasn't a thing, but not seriously, I think Adam really had the best car all night. I mean, he fell back early to save tires, and Joshua Williams led. I thought Joshua Williams was not going to be really able to get past just because how dirty air, just how important clean air is and whatnot. But Adam ran him down in the dirty air and he passed him. So props to him there. So yeah, Adam definitely had us covered tonight for sure. And I think I felt pretty good, especially in the first half of the race. We started 8th. I'm just glad we got a good qualifying in because I didn't want to be like 20th and where all the dirty air is probably the worst with multiple cars around you. So glad we got a good qualifying spot and glad we were able to pretty much stay top 5. We were a top 5 car the entire night. We made a few passes too when guys burned their tires off. We saved ours. So definitely glad about the run tonight. Just wish we had one spot better, but nonetheless, it's great to start the season this way. I mean, of course, I missed last week due to unforeseen circumstances, but other than that, a great way to start the season for myself at least.
Yeah, coming off of turn 2 on that final one, Fuller was down on the inside. I don't know that you could pay attention to that 81. You had to make sure that you cleared him, and a good battle with you guys coming down the front stretch to pull that second place finish. And, look, not a bad way to get things going early in the season. Second place here at Homestead, you got to be happy with that.
Yeah, of course, very happy. I was just ready to prepare to finish P3 or wherever it was we were running. And then, of course, I don't know what that last caution was for. I'm probably going to go look at that after I'm done with this. But, yeah, I was kind of pretty annoyed when that yellow came out when we were about to take the white flag. But thankfully, we got tires, had one extra set left, and thankfully the restart played out in our favor, and we were able to get to the bottom and pass all those guys. If I didn't have the bottom open, we were probably going to go backwards. So I'm glad the restart worked out the way it did. And, yeah, I had a good, nice little battle with Fuller there coming to the end. I thought he was going to clear me going into 3 because he had the bottom lane covered and whatnot. And, yeah, and I thought he was going to pass us. But thankfully, that high side, the middle line, right on the very top seam in 3 and 4, yeah, it just had some grip. And I got a massive run down the...
Yeah, great run coming off because he was ahead of you going into 3 and coming off of 4, but... You were able to drive around him.
Yeah, that was a big surprise. And thankfully, 1 and 2, we had the grip on the outside, too. I drove it in really hard because I knew we had the grip and whatnot. And he was sliding out just probably because he was getting tighter and anything, maybe a little bit of dirty air off of Adam, who was out ahead of us. Because even if you were second back, dirty air was really bad tonight. I mean, that's what we're going to be dealing with most of the season with this 550 horsepower package. So, yeah, it's definitely going to be a struggle to deal with all season, but we're going to deal with it, I guess, one way or another. But, yeah, overall, great run tonight. Happy with P2 to start the season, for me at least.
An interesting race for us to call from up here in the booth. We saw Trey Eidson playing that alternative strategy, and that caution came out there at lap 105 that flipped the race on its head. What was your plan? Were you looking for a 2-3 stop? How were you playing this out tonight?
Yeah, considering how many laps we had and what the fuel was, I guess we could nearly go like 60, 65 laps, whatever. I pretty much think it was going to be a 2-stop all the way. Heard some people were trying 3 stops and whatnot. I think Tommy tried a 3-stop, and that's why he stayed out in the last yellow because he ran out of tires or something like that. But yeah, pretty much my plan was just to split it right down the middle, like do a 50, then 100, and then run all the way to the end. But I guess a lot of people were trying to do that strategy, maybe waiting to get a caution late in the race or whatnot. Not sure what their strategy was, but it worked because Fuller was there in second in the end. I'm not sure where he was running before then, but it definitely improved his position, that's for sure. So yeah, it was definitely a lot of very interesting strategic race tonight. I was very surprised and whatnot. And not to mention, probably some people trying to do some strategy for halfway points too, which is new this year. So yeah, it felt good to get those halfway points early on as well. Like you said, strategy was all over the place. So definitely a pretty good race. I'm definitely going to have to go back and watch.
Yeah, no doubt. Second place finish. Anybody want to give a shout out to before we turn you over?
Absolutely. Got to thank First Rate Bay Labs 207 for all they do, for all their support. Glad I could open the season for me with them getting a lot of TV time. Also got to thank everyone at SIM500, Joey and the guys who do all the work and whatnot. to make these leagues possible and whatnot. Also got to thank you guys for being on the broadcast. You guys at Vidane TV definitely have to go back and watch this one. It was definitely a fun race, that's for sure. Got to thank everyone at Team Name, Josh Parker, Chad Coleman, Dave Comstock, Richard Beasley, and everyone else if I'm forgetting anyone. And and thanks to everyone who raced tonight as well. Thanks to all the fans who maybe have watched us tonight, and thanks to Transervice for all they do for the series.
There you go, Daniel Faulkingham, part of that Schoonover Racing team with Josh Parker. Second place finish tonight. Tim, you've caught up with our third place finisher, Justin Fuller.
Again, it's not the position that we wanted to chat with Fuller, but third place. It's still a good point night, I guess, if we look at it. But I want to talk about the battle for a second at the end. Caution comes out, green-white checker. Not only do you have to go through the lap traffic, but you also have to battle with Daniel Faulkingham at the end. Set us up that battle. What was going through your mind those final 2 laps?
I mean, I was terrible in the long run tonight, and obviously that green-white checker's not a long run, but when we pitted for tires there, I didn't take any fuel because I got so loose on the previous run, so I was way too tight. Kind of disappointed that caution came out because I thought, because they had the team challenge here at SIM500, and we were going to get personal comfort 1, which is Adam and I, a 1-2 finish there. But first and third is not bad, so I was no better than a 6th place car all night, and just the cautions fell at the right time for me to capitalize on some strategy.
We see that long green flag run, then we had that caution in the middle. Did you really set up for at the start of this race to go and maybe potentially do a different strategy? We saw Josh Williams go off the board and do something completely radically different. Did you guys anticipate that coming in and maybe go through some of those pit strategies in case it did happen that we went green?
No, I didn't think about anything radical. I just didn't want to be the first one to pit. I didn't want to short pit. Because the way these tires are, it doesn't work out in your favor. So everything kind of worked out the way it was, or how I kind of planned it for me. Had the race gone green, like I said, I was no better than probably a 6th, 7th place car at best tonight. So I can't figure out the long run here. I think it's because these wide swooping exits, I just directed the right front, and I'm just not very good in the long run. I didn't have much tire left there at the end when I pitted on that first. I guess it was our only green flag stop that I made. So. Yeah, it worked out in the end.
But you mentioned last week when we discussed it too that this racetrack might not necessarily be the best racetrack and the next one's upcoming. So I guess mission accomplished at the end of the night for a 3rd place finish?
Well, I mean, it's funny. I think I finished 3rd in this race last season too. So, and I finished 3rd last week at Daytona. So, yeah, a lot of 3rd places going on right now.
It's consistent to at least put you towards the playoffs, I guess, if it's anything, right?
Absolutely. I mean, that's all you can ask for. I'm sure I'll cook off at least a win or 2. There's a lot of competition in this league, and it's not any easier this year. It's even the field is even more stacked this season. So it's going to be a tough task. Going to have to get some wins. I'm really looking forward to Vegas, getting the win there hopefully, and we'll see what happens.
You mentioned personal comfort. You mentioned the teammate between Adam Gilliland. Who else is on this race car? Who else do you want to thank for this another podium run?
Oh, I got to thank everybody, SIM500, Joe Gatien, and Ollie Evans for all the work that they do. I want to thank everybody for watching the race. Obviously, I got to thank Scott Stenzel, Personal Comfort, Bet on Our Bed, a better price. I have one of their beds, and it's phenomenal. Everybody knows I'm a bigger fella, and it is a great bed. I totally recommend it to anybody that's looking to upgrade their bed. They're not cheap beds, but they're cheaper than their competitors, and that's all that matters. And they're a way better product. Thank everybody in the race tonight. That was a good race. I don't know really what happened in that last caution, so that was kind of upsetting. Thanks everybody for watching. I know my dad watched, and a shout out to him. Thank you guys for putting on the broadcast. I'm sure I'll run it back tomorrow while I'm at work. You guys always do a phenomenal job here at Vidane TV. So, looking forward to maybe getting another 3rd place finish next week at Auto Club. We'll see what happens.
Well, there's Justin Fuller, 51 car, 3rd place finish tonight. Congratulations on the run. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Tim. Have a good week.
Well, there's Justin Fuller and Kevin. I don't want to jinx him. We want to talk to him post race, and we've talked to him. It was almost a 2nd place run to a 3rd place run last week. Again, he had a sniff at 2nd place, and now it's a 3rd place run. I think he wants to talk to me, but he wants to get that other victory lane position in there. Wants to get a couple of more, and We'll see next week. Auto Club is next week. He mentioned Vegas. The West Coast swing is kind of underway, but now we put Florida, I guess, in our rearview mirror and move forward. Your final thoughts on the first two races in this VIDANE.shop 140?
Yeah, Justin was right. He finished third here last year, and third again. And well, he said he was looking forward to Las Vegas. And actually, on the schedule, we leave Florida for Las Vegas next Monday night for another Transervice Cup race. And man, if tonight was indicative of what we're going to see this season, Tim, it's going to be a spectacular year of sim racing.
Yeah, it's been great so far, and we anticipate a great one and great ones coming up on Monday night. So if you have nothing to do, or you have plans, change them and come watch us on Monday. Or if you're in the case of Fuller, maybe sneak us into work on Tuesday morning. But that's going to do it for us this evening. Paul, it's busy coming up here on VIDANE TV. We got the RBR series coming up tomorrow. We got a doubleheader again on Wednesday with the TCM Weekly iRacing Series and the Fatheads Cup Series. And we've got some Eastbound coming back on Thursday with, I believe, we haven't really discussed this, but there may be a TCM race at the end of that one as well. We've got some busy nights coming up.
That we do. Very busy here at VIDANE TV. Don't let that shortened schedule there on your screen fool you. We're going to have to fire that secretary of ours, or at least hire one to fire. But yeah, lots of stuff coming up. We're crowning another champion, the third champion here in 4 days on VIDANE TV tomorrow night for the RBR Maritime 250 miles. That's going to be our 250 lapper. That's going to be a big one tomorrow night at Five Flags Speedway. You mentioned the doubleheader with Tim's Corner Motorsports and the Fatheads Cup Series. Support those guys. Shoot on over to fatheads.com. Use the promo code SHOWTIME. They actually score 40% off, which is huge. Those guys do some oversized aviator-style glasses and stuff like that. You got to go to the racetrack. You got to look good doing it, right? And then we got Thursday night. We're not sure on the time, not sure of all the details just yet. And Tim just made mention, may very well be a doubleheader on Thursday night. Eastbound Esports and Tim's Corner Motorsports running side by side. And then Sunday night, we've got the Sim Racing Unleashed. Those boys are going to be running at Kansas. They debuted this past Sunday night, last night, as it were, at Richmond. And a little bit of a tough race, but lots of cautions last night. But that's what you get at Richmond. That's kind of what you get at short track racing. And man, oh man, did we see a great one here tonight? Maybe 2 cautions all night long. And these SIM500 Transervice Cup drivers showed exactly what they were tonight. The best. One of the best fixed setup leagues here in the iRacing service. Just incredible. Absolutely incredible racing. We saw 3, we saw 4, we saw 5 wide. Fantastic. I am very entertained, very, very, very happy to have these guys on VIDANE TV, and we'll be back next Monday to check that out for sure. But I think that's going to wrap everything up here at VIDANE TV for everybody here up in the booth. I'm Showtime Paul Strickland Jr., hiding down here in the production trailer, pushing all the buttons, making all the pretty stuff happen on your screen. For Tim Terry, for Kevin England, everybody here at the SIM500 League, the Transervice Cup Series, all of our friends, sponsors, drivers, and most importantly, the fans. We want to make sure we thank everybody over on Facebook and YouTube for checking us out here tonight, and give us a like, a share, a follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. And shoot on over to VIDANE.shop. Get yourself one of those dad hats, and gonna have to hook these boys up in the booth here. I know I gotta see if I can find one of those trucker hats that'll fit. I got a great big massive head, but I digress. Great race here tonight for the SIM500 Transervice Cup Series. The VIDANE.shop 140 in the books, and we still do have some marketing opportunities available for this SIM500 Transervice Cup Series. Shoot us a message over on the VIDANE TV Facebook page or the SIM500 League page as well, and we can definitely work with you. And on that note, we do have a huge sponsor announcement that's going to be coming up here in the next couple of days. Waiting for the ink to dry on the contract, and we'll be announcing that over on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And a little bit of a hint, it's got something to do with Too Drunk Esports. So very, very excited to have that go on, and we'll be sure to bring the entertainment when that sponsor comes on board 100% officially. But that's going to do it for tonight. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. When we do, we're going to be doing it live. Thank you so much for tuning in.